Welcome to the Mound City Council meeting. It's Tuesday, August 27th at 6 o'clock. Can we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we got our agenda. Do we have any amendments?
There is one amendment to the consent agenda that's in front of you. It's a private event. It came in a little late, so we're just trying to get it taken care of. Add that to the end of the consent agenda.
Okay, so we'll call this H on the consent agenda. Okay, so we got our agenda. Can I get a motion to approve our agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda with the amendment.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, that passes. All right, the consent agenda number 4, does somebody want to go through those?
Can do that. Consent agenda items A through G. A, approve payment of claims. B, approve minutes from the August 14th regular meeting. C, debt service levy schedule change. D, action on resolution approving variance for new replacement deck at 6511 Bay Ridge Road. E, action on resolution approving expansion permit for remodel and addition at 5032 Edgewater Drive. F, Lost Lake Commons maintenance agreement with MCWD. G, miscellaneous payment request for $11,001.34 to Minger Construction.
All right, and then again, the H is the,
Oh, I'm sorry, and with amendment H, a technically called a gathering permit for private party.
okay. All right, we got all those. Does anybody want to talk about any of those? All right, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
All right, can I get a second?
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember McEnany,
Here.
can we do aye or nay, please?
Aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Pugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Castellano,
Aye.
Mayor Holt.
Aye. Okay, thanks. All that passes. All right, number 5, we got comments and suggestions from anybody that wants to come up that your item is not on the agenda. Mhm.
Oh, must have been on the consent.
All right. And then, so I'm going to close that then. Before we go to Rhonda, I'm going to have Orno please come up real fast and just give us a quick update. Welcome.
Again, I apologize. Last month, or last 2 weeks, I was gone. I was on a vacation, so you got my report.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I let everybody know.
Any questions or anything concerning on there?
Not on previous.
You've
Okay.
done a great job.
Thank you. So this last 2 weeks, they ran our numbers. We had about 139 calls for service between July 24th and August 26th today. Nothing really trending other than I noticed we had 10 DWIs processed here in Mound, which it's a lot. It's just, I'm assuming it's time of year, things going on, a lot of people coming through town, going to our venues and stuff. So the guys have been pretty, and gals have been pretty vigilant out there at night, so that's bound to happen. Other than that, we had disorderlies and assaults, domestic-related calls, a lot of medicals as usual, thefts, welfare checks, vehicle accidents, and some mental health calls for service as well. We had 5 instances up on the Highlands, like Longfellow, Cherrywood, and Hawthorne, where we actually had theft from motor vehicles, leaving vehicles open at night. It's usually probably kids running around. They check the cars for sunglasses, change, anything. Nothing of great value, but we try to remind everybody, lock the vehicles at night and keep all valuables out. Right down to your garage door openers as well, because they will get inside and they will take things. So that's kind of been our focus on neighborhoods and roaming through them at night as much as possible, being seen out there. Moving on to Surfside and Centerview, where we continue to work it as hard as we can. This past month, there was 21 spot checks done in the Surfside, resulting in 5 citations. So people are still, it wasn't just trailer parking, but it was people parking in spots they weren't supposed to be parking in. So they kind of developed a new problem, but I think we got her back under control. So, and then Centerview Beach has been pretty quiet, 16 spot checks, nothing really going on down there now. It seems like we've cured that problem for now. The Orono Police Department, we just got done with our annual DNR Youth Firearm Safety for kids. We had three children from Mound coming through our DNR class. We just finished that up last week with our field day. So we have that once a year. Anybody interested, you know about it, you're always welcome to send them our way. We will accommodate them and try to get them into a DNR Youth Safety class.
Yep.
And then lastly, this weekend, we have Labor Day weekend. As we all know, we will be highly visible. We're participating in saturations around the area, so there'll be extra law enforcement on the roads, and Orono included. So any other questions? Or
Does council have any questions?
Well,
don't think
Mr.
so.
Mayor,
Yeah.
I was out in my neighborhood this last weekend, and I ran into one of the neighbors who had a question about Centerview. Maybe this is more our question than the police department. And his concern was those barriers that we have, are they going to be there in the winter? And a concern that in the winter, there's a company that brings and puts up big fish houses. And then their clients come in, take up all the parking. You know, and this is someone up on Linwood who likes to go down there and put his fish house in, but it's kind of blocked because of the congestion from the private company. So I don't know if that's something, we've never really talked about winter conditions
Right.
there. And so is it something we need to be aware of? And I don't know if the police department has any history with that area in the winter.
This has been the first year we've ever really blocked this off, so it'd probably be something I'd get with Andy and talk to him about it, see what, I don't know what you guys have planned with that, and I don't know what we have planned. Is it an issue in the wintertime? I've never had an issue down
It
there.
was
Well-
only an issue because of the.
Yeah, this
the
person
jet ski.
raised it because the barriers are there now.
Okay.
And so he was concerned about when winter comes, will he be able
Yep.
to get his fish house through there? And also the fact that there is a company who's taking up a lot of space in that area
Okay.
with their private company fish houses.
Are you talking about when they're on the water?
They're on the water, yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Well, the
that,
parking restrictions are up in, they don't go through the winter.
Right.
So I guess we'll have to discuss what makes sense.
most likely gonna pull the barrier once this season gets done, and then I've never had any complaints about winter or anything.
Well, I think that they're reacting to what we've done for the summer.
Right,
And
thinking
seeing
that
if
it's gonna
that's
stay.
staying for the winter.
Yeah.
The other thing too is on Linwood, I was walking on Linwood, it is treacherous, no one should walk on it anymore. Even though it's not the detour, it is the detour, and it's like the rapid detour, people are speeding down there. So I don't know if we could get one of those speeding signs to
Yeah.
maybe help get them to slow down.
There's not one on there right now.
There's not one on there now.
Okay. I will put in a request to our, to Josh and have him
Yeah.
try to get one on there. We're trying to sit there to divert
Yeah.
everybody off that road, but they just
They just,
right
yeah.
through, so.
I mean, they're even, what I've observed, because I walk the neighborhood a lot for exercise, is they're even turning on Church. So they're turning off Commerce, coming down Church, then going Beaumont, or Belmont, or whatever that street is, over to Linwood, and then zoom down Linwood.
Yep. I'm not sure how much longer this construction's gonna be up, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming as soon as this gets
Another
done.
week, yeah.
Another week is what it, yeah.
If that.
So I'll put in a request to our CSO to put one up just until
Yeah,
it changes, so.
thank you.
All right.
Any
Doing a
other
great
questions?
job.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we got Rhonda Nelson with Gillespie Center presentation. Welcome.
Thank you. All right. Thanks for having me, you guys. I appreciate it. As Jason said, I'm Rhonda Nelson. I've been at the Gillespie now just since the beginning of the year. Excited to be there. I came on as a consultant and help them kind of get out of the red and create a new strategy to propel us into the future. So we did that. Sherry was a part of that as our council liaison. We had a working session, a workshop with our board of directors and a few of our employees, and came up with a new vision, mission, and values that I'd like to share with you today. And then a lot of the good things that have come out of that since then. So I was looking at your materials ahead of time, and I saw that in your mission, you talk about a flourishing community, and we envision a thriving community, so very in line. So envisioning a thriving community, and our mission then is that we are dedicated to providing a prosperous and supportive environment, culture, and space to enrich the lives of our community members of all ages. Just a note there, right? We are trying to honor Bill Gillespie's vision that he created almost 25 years ago. Next year will be our 25th anniversary, and but also really expand it to make it really a community asset. Again, multi-generational. For that, we did create 5 core values that I think are important to kind of go through, but dignity, I don't want to drain them, but dignity, right? We want to make sure we're treating everyone with dignity that walks through our doors. Of course, inclusion. We want to welcome, value, respect, and hear all voices and diverse points of view. Innovation, I think this is an important one as we propel into the future, right? We want to take learnings from the past, but really propel them into the future. And then, most importantly, sustainability as a nonprofit. We need to be fiscally responsible and ensure that we do have a safe and secure place for future generations to come. And then last but not least is trust, right? We want to embrace an honest, genuine, and transparent culture for all. So from there, we did that in that workshop, and then coming out of that, we created new goals. And I don't think the Gillespie has really had, I could be wrong, goals that we really kind of set forth and measured ourselves against. So coming from corporate America, this was important to me, to create smart, measurable goals. And so we anchored on 4 goals that we are already measuring. So the first one is to increase membership. And there's a lot of conversation about membership. You can be a member of the Gillespie, but we are trying to kind of transform that into a supporter. So to be a member does mean you give monetarily. It's not a lot. Some can't afford a lot, but it does mean that you're kind of invested and you're donating. However, right, the Gillespie is open to all. It's not just member-based. It is open to the whole community. We do measure this one quarterly, and we took a baseline in May after our session, and we're already up today 9% from that goal. It's important to note, too, we created short-term, 1-year goals, and then 5-year goals from a long-term perspective. Again, second one is about that fiscal responsibility and increasing our profit. So as I mentioned, when I started, we were in the red. We approved a negative $67,000 budget for the year. So of course, our first goal is to get break even, and then by 5 years, right, really become profitable, and that's at least by 10%. We want to increase our programming usage, so the people that use the facility, again, members, non-members, members of all ages, and we're measuring that. That was never measured in the past, so I'm measuring that on a monthly basis. So in the month of May, we had 722 people using or coming to our events, using our facility. That excludes people that just stop in for bakery. It excludes people that are renting it, right? It's really people using our services and our events. I'm happy to report that already we're up 14% against our year goal of 20%. And then last but not least, we're measuring NPS, so our Net Promoter Score, which is customer satisfaction. I'm sure you've all taken a survey where from a product or service where you've been asked to rate them on 0 to 10 on how likely you are to recommend this to a friend. And so that's what we're doing. We took a survey when I first started of our membership, which I'd like to expand that to beyond membership going forward. But we got an NPS score of 44, which isn't terrible. When I came in, there was a lot of negativity or some concerns because there was the director change and whatnot. So as 44 wasn't bad, but of course we can do way better. So our yearly goal is 53, which is a 20% increase, and in 5 years, getting that to 90% increase. So then from our goals, we really needed to align everything we do. So how we execute, right? And so that is programming, it's fundraising, it's marketing. So from a program perspective, I'm not going to exhaust this list. A lot of these things, some of these things they've been doing for a while. Some of them we've enhanced, some of them we've revised to make them more fiscally efficient, and some of them we've added. So just like a week ago, I added a person, she's coming in to do free eyeglass consultation. So adjustments and cleanings and things like that, as an example. And then on the right side, the programming side, right now, we're evaluating some of these things and how frequently they're used or the cost of them. For example, the Wednesday lunch program. There was a day, I guess, where the room was filled with people and it was an everyday lunch, and it was several years before COVID. And as you all know, COVID changed everything. So now we're down to Wednesday lunches, and we're really trying to increase that socialization by I'm adding like free programming around that or music. So our ukulele club, I'm like, hey, ukulele club, you guys come in and just enjoy the ukulele. Why don't you perform for us? And I had to like persuade them a little bit. I think, Sherry, you attended that one.
Yeah.
They did a great job, and
They did.
it was very pleasurable to hear. So it was a win-win. And then other days, like tomorrow, we're having a free seminar, which will be on the next page, but I partnered with Ridgeview Medical, and they come in monthly and do a different health topic. So tomorrow it's on brain health, how to keep your brain healthy and active, so you can avoid dementia and other fun diseases like that. So more on programming, like I mentioned, I'm really focused on trying to bring in these educational seminars free. So a lot of the Ridgeview Medical stuff, they're listed there. We did a whole series on dementia, partnering with the Minnesota Dementia Community Action Network. Huge turnout. We had 4 sessions, and each session was attended by about 60 people each, multi-generational. I wouldn't say kids, but 30s, 40s on up. Health and wellness, we're partnering with a new company called Care Insight Partners. I partnered in town here with Josh Bradner, who is their Edward Jones rep, and then JP Morgan, and they've come in and done a monthly financial seminar. And then we're going to start rolling out next month Medicare seminars because to help educate people on the upcoming Medicare changes. And then to try to make it fun and interesting, we've also done some special interest speakers as well. We had somebody come in and do American jewelry, a history of American jewelry. We have Doug Ullman coming in next month, who is a famous Minnesota author. And then we had a real estate company come in and help us talk about real estate fraud and helping people downsize. Okay. So in alignment with our new strategy, we really wanted to create new programming. So we have today exercise classes, but again, to get more multi-generational folks, we've added Tai Chi, yoga, chair yoga, and actually today, literally hot off the press, we're going to add Zumba. It's a 30-year-old woman probably who has her 60-year-old mother living with her and a young child, and she wants to come in and offer Zumba classes for free. So, and attract, again, multi-generational. It's kind of fun, even our regular fitness classes. I see a lot of, grandmothers with their daughters, or even one that brings her granddaughter in, and the granddaughter's probably a teenager, but it's fun to see that together. And then we're trying to do new things on the social front, in addition to what we have today with coffee house and lunches and whatnot. We're contracting with the transportation van company to offer excursions. So we went to the Chanhassen Dinner Theater, Guthrie Sidekick Theater next month in Bloomington, and a couple Twins games, and those have been really well attended. They've all sold out. We have a new Rumi Cube Club, walking club, and cooking contest. So from a funding perspective, right, to help get us out of the red, we really try to focus on that, and again, focus on multi-generational. So when I started, we have this bakery, probably some of you may know, we do food rescue from Cub and get their bakery and ask for donations in kind in turn. I walked into Mac and Tunes in Minnetrista when they opened, and they did not have a plan for that. So they're now giving us their bakery, and in addition to bakery, they're giving us some additional food rescue, which we, with produce and meats. And so we in turn use that to fund our lunches, as well as then lots left over, we provide to We Can or the West Tonka Food Shelf. We hosted a spaghetti dinner, family-oriented dinner at the beginning of the year. We did a first ever cash bingo, which was well attended, again, folks of all ages. Late last year, they did a pancake breakfast with Santa to get a lot of little kids in the center, and we're planning to do that again this December. If you're not aware, we do Ellen Elma's cruises, and Ellen Elma's has been awesome, and they partner with us. They've been doing it for several years now, but I'm happy to report that this year was a record year. I marketed to all of our surrounding metro, other community centers, and like assisted living centers, and we had a record-breaking year. So we had the most sales from Ellen Elma's. We filled most of the boats. And then there are 6 cruises throughout the summer, and the last cruise we actually sold out. He's like, stop selling, all the boats are being used. So it was really kind of fun, and they're great to partner with. And then they give us a kickback of $5 per ticket that goes to the Gillespie. Partnership with Scotty B went really well. We had 90 people last month. People here in Mound love him. They miss him. But so we built up around that, and we added, a raffle. We had donation jars. We brought in music, and we got 90 people, and it was amazing. So great fundraiser for us, and Scotty's now agreed to do this quarterly for us. So excited about that, and people like him. So it's great. We do a tea. Christmas brunch. They do a holiday boutique every year. We're hoping to expand that. Community nights. And then what's not on here, I don't believe, which I missed. It's on the right-hand side, but first annual Spirit of the Lakes event. So in conjunction with Spirit of the Lakes, kind of a brainchild late in the game, but we put together an event in our parking lot, a cornhole tournament, and then family fun day with a lot of kids' activities. A lot of learnings. I will definitely call it a pilot. But I'm super excited, everyone. The event went really well from an execution perspective, and we plan to do it next year in conjunction with the Spirit of the Lakes, so we can get in their agenda and make it even bigger and better, and timing-wise, and we were competing against the park news event, so it'll be better. Excited for that. So next year, again, can continue expanding on existing events, targeting the ones that are the most profitable, and doing better marketing. I talked about Scotty B's, expanding cash bingo. And then next year, I think I mentioned, is our 25th anniversary. So we're hoping to do a big gala and invite the whole community. So from a marketing perspective, hopefully you've all seen, we have a new look. If you've driven by, it's beautiful, it's fresh, it's new. Hopefully it makes a statement. Blue with white trim versus the brown that kind of fades into the background. And then we have a new logo as well. And the logo will be put on the building soon. We found when we painted it, there was some rotting boards up there, so we have to do some more repairs before we put the nice wooden logo up there. But coming soon, we've already created marketing materials around the logo. And we're updating our website and kind of focusing on a social media campaign, which I don't think has really ever been done in the past. Also definitely partnering, like I said, with not just with Allen Elma's, but other events to try to get other centers like Shorewood, the Shorewood Senior Center is kind of floundering as well, so they need help. I'm like, come to our events, come to the Gillespie, right? Let's partner together. And same with Delano. And then we're also rolling out a sponsorship program for our newsletter. So I'm here today to share with all you guys the exciting news, but also for financial ask. We are a nonprofit. Oh, I skipped a page, sorry. From an operations perspective, we're also making changes. Obviously, I'm the new director. My focus is not only the strategy. I've decided to stay on as the long-term director. I'm very embraced with the people. I've come to love them. I've really am aligned with our strategy and our mission. So I'm excited to stay on. I have a background in kind of core project management and strategy. We've really focused on kind of streamlining our operations and making them better. We added a youth director earlier this year from the high school. So he's a great person to bring in to get new ideas. I'm hoping to add a second one in next year. And then also considering bringing in a young adult, somebody that's early on in their business career, just for, on the board for some fresh perspectives. All right, so our ask is, we are making every effort to rebrand, enhance, invest in our fundraising, but we can't do it alone. We still have a ways to go. And so I'm asking for your help to help us fulfill our vision and our mission. I know in the past, in 2011, I believe, there was a contract, I don't know if you guys were aware, but from 2011 to 2021, there was a 10-year contract, 5 years, renewable for 5 years, with 3 cities. It was Mound, Minnetrista, and Spring Park, where you funded kind of per capita. And so at the time, I believe it was $6 a resident. It was about 60 grand a year that Mound funded, helped fund the Gillespie. So I'm asking for the same. That's my ask. I'm going to ask for kind of inflation. So if I take that inflation rate, it comes up to be $8.4 a resident. And actually, I think our residents are down. So take that down. Maybe it was, you could tell me that. I think it was 10,000 a few years ago. Now it's about 9,000.
We're at 8.7.
Oh, 8.7. So we could do the specific calculations, but that would be about 75,000 a year, roughly. Yeah. So that is my ask. You're my first on my road show, as I told Jason. I'm going to City of Minnetrista next in a few weeks, and then I'm going to Spring Park. And then I'll go to other ones as well, our other smaller, surrounding areas, because I look at this as a community asset. It's not just Mound, even though we're in your backyard. It is really a West Tonka community asset. So I'm not going to forget about St. Bonnie or Watertown or all the other little communities around us. Because we do have members from all those communities and members that have moved away and still support us. But a little over 60% of our membership is in Mound.
All right, does council have any questions for Rhonda?
Do you guys do any direct mailers or advertising or anything like that?
We haven't since I've been there. I can't say in the past. I did find out like the Ellen Elmas thing. I came in and there was really no transition, and I had to really start over. So when I found out about Ellen Elmas, I'm like learning as I go. So I just took my list. I had been to a conference and I took all my contacts, and then if I didn't have them, I looked them up, and I did cold calling, and I called all the senior centers or community centers. But I did find out that they had done a mailing in the past, sent out something for Ellen Elmas. So we could do it either way, but
It seems like you guys have a lot of events going on, and you've added a lot. Like, if you guys could get, maybe reach out to your sponsors and have them sponsor a mailer with like your calendar on it. I don't know, something that people would hang up at home.
Oh, we do have that, sorry. So we do
Okay.
a monthly newsletter, and actually I
Okay.
just started a couple months ago. We always have the calendar of events kind of in there, but we actually have it as an insert now.
Okay, I saw the newsletter mentioned.
Okay,
Okay,
yep. We
all
do have a
right.
monthly newsletter, we call it the Gillespie Gazette.
At
It goes
one of
out,
the
it's like 8
meetings-
pages or 10 pages now.
Okay.
It's got a lot of stuff in it, but then I wanted, one pager so someone could hang it up on the
Yeah,
refrigerator.
okay.
And recently, one of the members asked me why in our newsletter, we didn't have any Gillespie events listed. So I think we could do that, but we need to let Gillespie know what would be the process of them sending information to us for our newsletter that comes out quarterly.
Okay, great.
And
No, me
we
and
have been
Maggie
making an
too.
effort
Maggie
to
and Jason?
put it in on our website, and we get the information from Betsy at,
Yep.
so
At
anytime
WCC.
she sends an announcement out, we either copy the flyer or make a new announcement and try to plug you that way too on the website.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and I do send our flyers for all these events to
Yeah,
Betsy to
yeah.
distribute, so, yep.
And Rhonda, I gotta say thank you. It is a huge community asset, and the facelift looks so inviting
Great.
and fresh, and young. And I gotta think, just a facelift is gonna help bring in events for you, and events are gonna really get you out of the red.
Yeah.
And, doing the facelift, people are gonna be proud to wanna go in and have an event, so.
That's what we're hoping, yeah.
Yeah, it looks really, really nice.
It's good. Of course, with anything, any change, some people love it, some people hate
Right.
it, so we
Yeah.
get both, but, so
Yeah.
thank you.
It looks great. And, we're thrilled as Mound that you've decided to stay on and
Good.
follow through with your efforts and strategy. Hopefully it works, because we sure don't want to lose it.
Yep.
It's a beautiful.
We're getting momentum. We hope it continues, and, yep. This last weekend, we had a lot of activity in the center, so it's just great to see that Scotty B lunch. It was like, wow, like, this is what could be like, all, it's like great, And it's great to see, I know Bill Gillespie's vision was the elderly or the aged, but we don't want to lose focus of that, because we have a big community there. But we also, a lot of them want to bring their kids, their grandkids, and have those events. So we're trying to focus on those kind of things as well.
Good luck.
Yeah,
Wishing you
thanks.
luck.
Yeah.
So I went in there to vote the other day.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, I saw your little sign that says Scotty B, take-home containers.
Oh, yeah, they're his soup, his famous
Oh,
sauerkraut.
my God.
soup.
And I'm like, that's the one thing I was the most upset about when he closed.
Was it?
Yeah, so I saw the soup and I texted my wife, I was like, how many do you want?
Awesome.
So I only took 2, but it was like $10 a thing. I was like, that's a no-brainer. And they're frozen, you can put them in. Anyway, so I would for sure keep doing the Scotty B thing.
Yeah,
If not, if you can get them to do more, but,
yeah,
do you guys do weddings at all?
we do.
Okay, how many weddings a year do you do?
Oh, let me think. I mean, I think there's more in the summer. I haven't been there a full year yet.
Right.
I think I've seen three since I've been there in
Okay.
like early February. We just had one on Friday,
Oh, nice.
so.
You gotta think that that brings in a few bucks, right?
Yeah, I hope it brings in people that aren't, that normally wouldn't come into the Gillespie.
Right.
And, opens their eyes. And we do see members that get members that way.
Yeah.
People inquiring about membership, so that's good. And then we had a celebration of life on Saturday, and
Okay.
then Westwood Church. So
Right.
they're kind of displaced from there, or they're going to be, right? So we're helping them out, and they're going to be using our center more and more, I think. So that's also good.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions at all?
No, except for I have lunch there every Wednesday, and you can all come and join me for
Yes.
lunch. I do try to invite new friends every time to go with me, and it's kind of great, because I sort of have reacquainted with, when I went back to graduate school, I used to ride the bus with 2 other women all the time, and so they come to the lunch, and so we reminisce on our bus riding days in 2010 and stuff, but really great food, and it's a good price, $10. You can't eat in any restaurant for $10
Right.
or less, so and it's a nice social engagement. A lot of people, have come and brought their mothers or, used it as a way to get their members of their family out into a social gathering. So I'd say, join me on Wednesday, $10.
All right.
Yeah, I'm
For
also
lunch.
partnering, my mother, I just moved my mother here from Wisconsin to Pres Homes. And I try to get her over on Wednesdays too, to get her out. And then I know Pres Homes, with this Doug Orman thing coming up, and with Scotty B, they send
Yeah.
buses of people. So they'll have signups there, and they'll bring people over, which is really nice.
Good. All right, any other last thing?
No, and other than, we're hoping that the Park Commission will get to do some things with Gillespie, like the walking club. We're thinking about creating a walking club around Lost Lake. So we got to get that Lost Lake Park, walking path designation.
All right.
Yeah, that'll be in this next month's newsletter coming out in a few
Yeah.
days.
So they're doing a great job, really energized, new programs, new energy. When you go in there, it's not just dead. My experience was I'd go in and there'd be no one there except for the receptionist. Now there's a lot of people going. The parking lot is full, which makes it complicated for me to park, but that's my parking challenge. But,
It's a good
it's
problem.
good. It's a good
A
problem.
full parking lot.
Yeah, it's a good problem, yeah,
Yeah,
so.
great,
All
so,
right.
But she did make an ask,
yeah.
and we
I was just
haven't
gonna say,
responded to that.
does it sound like a reasonable ask?
So a couple of years ago, it was done, right? The 10-year contract was done and.
Yeah, it's expired in 2021, I believe.
Right, and I'll be honest, we're really looking forward to that. Just being honest, because that's a huge weight off of our financial issues, which we have a lot of them. We just went through a long-term financial plan. So I guess I'd have to say TBD.
Okay.
We can talk about it a little bit more, but, at least as of now, anything that we can do to support you outside of giving you money, we'd love to help, Again, anything we can do in the newsletter, social, that kind of thing. I mean, I'm just talking for myself, but I've only been here 4 years, but I've
Yeah.
seen, it's tough.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too, is we can, without committing to anything right now, if it's not monetary, I mean, we can help with but like, we can help with our resources too, like the newsletter and, so you guys are a nonprofit, so donations would be tax deductible.
That's right.
Is the membership tax deductible too?
That's a good
thinking
question.
you
I
could-
think so, because it's
We could help
basically
promote-
supporting, yeah.
We could help promote both of that, through city publications and, I don't know, a couple ideas, but, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one thing for sure is as we think about planning this 25-year anniversary, really getting kind of behind that, even helping plan it but really helping support marketing it. Our other city council liaison, Claudia Lacey, who sits on Trista, really wants to do a campaign where you put, you do ask for $1,000 donors or something, and
Yeah.
then they get to put a big yard sign in there, or, something like that, which we haven't fully developed that idea yet, but, that'd be something maybe you could figure out how to market or help us, support us in that way.
Well, I think the thing is, we haven't done our budget for next year, and if you give us a one-page, make the case for, I don't think that we probably could do at the level that you're talking about, but maybe there's something else, or maybe even asking us to be a sponsor of an event might be something that's more doable within our budget constraints. But we do have the challenge that our biggest financial obligation is to getting a new water plant. And so that kind of sits in front of everything.
So if we give you 60 grand, it's like, why are we not getting clean water for residents?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I
It's kinda
get that.
tough.
I get that need as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could use that for any topic.
But, give us some options,
Okay.
for
I can
some-
certainly come back with a one-page
Yeah.
business case
Mhm.
with some options and.
Do you guys get, discounts is the right word, or anything for doing mailings as well as a nonprofit?
No.
No.
No,
They
okay.
used to be able to do postage mailing, but that's, bulk mailing is,
That we were doing when I
Yeah.
first started, and
right,
that really
and bulk
became
mailing is not for
problematic.
sure in anything.
The U.S. Post Office has really changed, so bulk,
Yeah.
we'd send out our newsletter bulk mail, and some people wouldn't get it for 2 weeks. And then that's just,
Right.
then it would, we're into the month, and they missed the events, and that didn't work. So we actually just went away from that.
Okay.
For the big events, you could reconsider the EDDM, which is a really great way to reach out to, you can pick your routes. And that's a great, I'm not going to say it's inexpensive, but it's really affordable when you're trying to reach a large audience.
It's EDDM.
It's called EDDM. It's through the post office.
Oh, through post office?
And you go in and you pick your map routes for the postal delivery, and you
Okay.
can tailor it, for the most part, to the communities you want to reach out to.
Okay,
And they give you a really great flat rate,
okay.
bulk rate.
I am not aware of that, but I can look
Yeah.
into that for sure,
Yeah.
yeah. Good. Thank you for the ideas.
Yeah. Anything else, let us know.
All right, any other questions for me?
No, you're doing a good job, though.
Thanks
you
for
are.
letting me
Thank
present.
you.
What would be a time, like the one page, the timeline for her? 'Cause, I mean,
Like
we're-
tomorrow, like really
As
fast.
I'm looking at the budget calendar.
It's
right
August,
here,
yeah.
so-
Okay, I'll work on it and get something to you this week for sure.
Yeah, give it to Jesse or
Jesse?
Maggie. I don't know.
Okay.
Do you guys both have cards?
Well, I can find
Yeah.
it.
Nobody carries
on
cards
the website.
anymore.
Yeah, and then I forgot to mention, we also are doing, I call them community talks. So Jason's gonna come and do a talk at lunch, upcoming
Yeah,
soon
you're
here.
gonna
That's where you're gonna have lunch with
Pack the
him.
place up.
pack it up, let's go. What day is it?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Some-
September, it's a Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday in
Actually,
September.
every council member should.
She did
sponsor
actually
It might
offer
be the
that.
11th. I think we landed on the
Yeah.
11th. I'll double check.
The
Do your
11th
campaign.
I have to double check.
at noon.
It was at noon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was before, we also have remember, we have a seminar after that at 1
Yeah.
o'clock. You're like, that's fine.
Right. The-
Works
the-
out good.
The other thing is, she did offer candidates that are running.
Right, yeah.
And I did
We
say
had
there is a
talked about
candidate forum.
The League of Women Voters?
Yep.
Yep.
But if you wanted to do, kind of come and meet your people, or,
Yeah.
maybe not, something less formal,
Yeah. I
Anyway.
thought I would attend that event, because that was early September, I believe it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
And kind of see,
yeah.
you know,
Well, you
how
got
they
2
do
more
it,
months
and
after that, so
yeah.
you could do
I
something
think that's a
there.
good idea, and again, it gets people in our building.
Yeah.
and
it
see what
does,
we do.
yeah. And different, maybe types of people,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
cool.
It's good. All right.
All right, we'll
Thank
see
you
you in a
guys for
couple
your time.
weeks.
Appreciate it. All right.
Thank
All right,
you.
thanks.
Thank you.
All right, number 7, we got planning commission recommendations. Consideration / action on a variance for accessory structure at 1703 Jones Lane. You got Rita,
Yes.
maybe.
We're on Jones Lane, right? I was just making.
Jones
sure.
Lane, yep,
We're just trying to figure out which computer we're using.
yep.
Is it there? Okay. Can I have that? Or a flasher? We'll switch over to you. All right, good evening. Well, that's interesting. I didn't like you today. Okay. Well, we'll just pivot. I'm gonna do it without, because it's not liking. I'll keep playing with it, but I don't wanna take too much time. It's only, there we go. All right, sorry, thank you for your patience. Good evening, I'm Rita Trapp, planning consultant for the city. This is a variance request for an accessory shed on 1703 Jones Lane. The property is a corner lot that's located at the intersection of 3 Points Boulevard and Jones Lane. And that's one of the reasons for the variance request is the location of the property. Currently, there is a single-family home that is located on the property, and they do have a 2-car attached garage. There was a variance as well as a public lands permit granted for this site in 2020. The variance was for a fence height, and then the public lands permit was to allow the placement of a fence, and it is 6 feet tall rather than the allowable 4 feet tall. And the fence is placed in the public right-of-way along 3 Points Boulevard. And I'll talk a little bit more about that because it does factor in to the variance request this evening. The applicant is proposing to construct a 440-square-foot accessory garage and shed in the rear yard, and they would like a variance to allow only a 5.7-foot setback from the property line, which is not what is required by the code. The request is primarily due to topography. It's an interesting site, so when we get to the elevations, I'll kind of talk through the elevation issue that we have on the site. The site is guided low-density residential, which is intended primarily for single-family housing, and this will continue to use the property for single-family purposes. It is an R1 single-family residential, and that factors in just because of the way that the setback requirements are. The accessory structure setback requirements in the front yard is 20 feet, and the street side yard is 20 feet, and I'll come back to that in a second. And then on the interior side yard, so on the south property line, it would be 6 feet, and then the rear yard, it would be 4 feet. I do want to note, and it was in your packet as supplemental information, the code is interesting and probably something that staff would suggest we fix. The code has some confusing provisions that are not technically conflicting, but they're in multiple locations. So there is a provision in the code that specifically in the R1 district that says that you need to have, that the front setback is related to the depth of the lot, but when you deal with an accessory structure, the setback that you use on a corner street side setback is related to the width of the lot, and so we had applied the reverse. And so the variance request is not 24.3 feet as was in the Planning Commission packet, but 14.3 feet. The long and short is, no matter what, the accessory structure is not moving from the location being proposed, and they still would like to be 5.7 feet from their property line. It's just the amount of the variance change. It is important because, you know, they don't have as much of a variance needed, but either way, and that's something, as I said, staff would like to look at and maybe we'll come back to separately this fall, because it is confusing to have provisions in multiple places that switch how you approach calculating things, just to make sure. And we don't apply corner yard setbacks very frequently. Surprisingly, we don't have a lot of those that we have to deal with. So back to the structure. This is a lot that's over 10,000 square feet, which is the minimum lot size for R1. I do want to note that accessory structures are limited to either 3,000 square feet or 15% of the lot, so it's the lesser of the two. So for this lot, they could have up to 1,500, just over 1,500 square feet of accessory structure. They're proposing 440 square feet, and so that does meet what the code says. Again, the code does require a front setback on both 3 Points Boulevard and Jones Lane. It's just in the accessory structure provisions, they kind of change how you calculate what the front setback is. But they are looking to do 5.7 feet from the northern property line. They are proposing to meet the rear setback, which is the west property line. They're at 5 feet. The 4 feet is what is required by the code. The main reason for the request is topography. The site does change significantly in its topography. The southwest corner, so this corner, elevation, the dot elevation, site elevation is 952.4. The elevation kind of right in this vicinity is 942.0. I do note as you go back up to 3 points, it actually increases again. So this kind of area is coming down from 3 points and then it goes back up. And the hill resides on the back, all along the rear property line. There is a retaining wall, so this area has been impacted in the past. If the applicant were to shift the proposed structure to the south, they would need to cut farther into this hillside and put up a retaining wall. So there is currently an accessory shed in this vicinity, so their proposal is to kind of put the new accessory structure in the same general vicinity as was there in the past. But obviously, it is larger than it was before. The residential accessory structures do need to be shorter than the principal structure, and the indications that we have from the building height information provided by the applicant is that it will be, and again, that'll be verified at building permit time. We did distribute this for comments and no comments were received. The Planning Commission review occurred last Tuesday at the meeting. There was kind of two areas of discussion. There is the neighbor, who I believe they are here again this evening and will have an interest in speaking with you, believes that the variance should not be allowed because there are alternative conforming locations that it could be constructed in. There isn't a reason it has to be in this location. I know that the Planning Commission also discussed minimizing the view of the structure from the street. So there was a lot of discussion about topography, where the fence is, trying to make sure that if we were going to have this structure as close to 3 points as proposed, that it wouldn't be something that would stand out. And there is a fair amount of distance between the fence and the sidewalk and the fence and this property, and there is the topography change. Staff did recommend approval, and the Planning Commission did, after discussion, recommend approval as well. So this evening, we're asking that you discuss the request. I know the applicant is here. There was photos included in your packet, and they may wish, if you are amenable, to bring those up so you can see them as well, and they can talk through the situation on their site. I know the neighbor, if you are, again, amenable, would like to speak to you as well and provide information about their concerns about the proposed request. We did prepare a resolution for your consideration, given the fact that the Planning Commission and staff both recommended approval. It was included in your packet, but if you don't want to move forward with approval, then it would be helpful if you wanted to table it to hear why, or you can always make a motion to deny with findings of fact, and then staff can prepare that if needed. With that, I can answer any questions or clarify any points if clarification is needed.
Does council have any questions for Rita? Can you pull up that picture that's in the packet?
Yes, we're going to switch back to.
Okay. I think it's like 143 or something. There you go. So is this where it's currently at?
That's the current shed on the property, yes.
And where's the new one going?
It's going in the same general vicinity, but they
Can
will
we dim the
have
lights a
to.
little bit?
Yeah, I can do the lights, and actually, it'd probably be better if the applicant talks.
I
through
can
instead
speak
of
to it for a
myself.
second. I drive by it every day. The backyard, so that little section of white fence that you see is like,
3 points?
you go over one section, no, it's not, that's the backyard, and then it comes back towards us, and it's, so 3 points is going along us on the right-hand side.
Right.
So the north side of their yard, where the fence then goes, along 3 points, so this is just the back corner of the yard.
So my understanding is they're in the same general vicinity, though they are going to move these to shrubs/trees. And then dig down a bit, so this is all level, and it'll be constructed in this vicinity.
And
But it'll be bigger. If you look on the survey, you can
Right.
see how much smaller the existing one is versus what's being proposed.
okay. What did the other pictures show? Can you go to the next one? That's just a different view that way, right?
Yeah, we're a little bit to the left of the photo that was there, and I think part of this is showing the mature trees that would
Oh,
have to
okay,
be
because this one I
removed.
was confused. I see the neighbors,
Right,
something
So-
there.
we're
So the
over
shed
on
is
the,
just to the right.
yes.
The shed's to the right of this
Yep.
fire pit. Okay.
Is there going to be a curb cut for this shed? 'Cause you
That's,
said-
no, there isn't, and that's one of the conditions that staff
Okay.
has, is that there can never be a driveway for this.
Okay.
Because we wouldn't want that on 3 points.
Right.
Okay. Then we'll go to the last one. There's just another, okay. So basically putting a shed exactly where it already is. And then did they need a permit to put that shed there originally?
I thought that was non-conforming, but I was not involved with that one. I don't think the size of it's very big.
If they're under 200 square feet, you don't need a building permit, but they have to meet setbacks. And I'm not aware if they had a permit or not.
So does this meet setbacks already or no?
I'm guessing not, because it's not as close as this one, but it's close to 3 points. I can't see where it's sitting related to the west lot line.
It's a little bit closer than what's proposed, so my guess is, well, it's supposed to be 4 feet, so,
From
Why?
the-
Because of the easement.
right,
From the property line?
yeah. So it is still close to 3 points, though.
Okay.
But no permit, because it's under,
It's under the square footage.
way under the size, yeah.
All right, does council have any other questions for Rita? Okay, and you said the applicant wants to say something?
The applicant's
Okay.
here, I'm sure that
All right,
they
does the
would
applicant want to say
appreciate.
anything? Whoever. All right, come on up. Can you give us your name and address?
Hi, I'm Jake Kohler. I reside at this address, 1703 Jones Lane. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, staff, for the time on this. I don't want to take too much time, but I do want to be detailed enough so you guys can understand the situation, I guess. So the picture there, we are proposing to put the shed exactly in that spot. It's just that where that one comes 10 feet towards 3 points, we want to build a 20-foot wide, so it would come another 10 feet towards, or 12 feet towards, right? So in our, and the other thing that, I don't know if there's another picture in there, you guys, that shows the fence, if that would help paint the picture, but if you've driven by it, you know, if you come down 3 points, the shed that's on, running parallel with 3 points, sits on top of another berm that's 5 feet higher than this low ground. So you got the berm and then a 6-foot fence. So that whole side is like 11 feet taller. So if the new structure is approved, there's only going to be like 2 feet of the roof line maybe sticking above the fence. So you're really not going to see it at all from 3 points. And I guess I just want to point out the Planning Commission had a lot of discussion about reviewing the difference as well between corner lots on collector roads versus lots on side streets and residentials. And, you know, my understanding of that is, you know, there's no neighbors on the other side of that 3 points, right? On 3 points, it's all bushes and then the garages and then the Seahorse condos over there. So it's not like other neighbors have front yards that are looking at that. Where on some corner lots in residential streets, it's different, right? You have neighbors that are all looking at that.
Right.
If you look at our property and if you visited it, like, it's really hidden back there. Like, it impacts nobody. Like, nobody sees it. It doesn't impact anybody.
It's not blocking anyone's vision.
There's no vision. It's not encroaching on anybody. To be honest, like, I know the neighbors want to talk about some differences in their opinions, but I thought they would rather have this location because it's not towards them. You know, it's on the other side of their lot, but.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
They also talked a little bit about, like, you know, if the code, if they look at it more of a collector road versus a regular road, and it was considered like an internal lot, the setback right there would only be 4 feet, so it's definitely compliant with that, but I know it's not an internal lot, so. I truly believe the practical difficulty is being met. I mean, right in the city code and on the application, everything, it talks about topography being a practical difficulty, and if you come look at this situation, the topography is kind of a mess. And yes, we knew that when we moved in, of course. But this, you know, if we were to move this structure this way, one, we'd have to tear out 3 trees to be within code. And that berm back here, you know, right here, it's maybe 4 feet tall, but it goes up a hill up here, and this is like 10 feet tall back here. So I'd have to dig into that berm 10 feet tall and put a retaining wall or build it back in there, and it just does not make any sense when you look at this property. And to be honest, we won't do it. If you guys don't approve this, we're not going to dig out this berm and go and take down trees and build it in there. So I do believe that. We did meet with the neighbors back here up on the hill, the Munstocks, and we talked to them about it, and because they have a house up here and their driveway comes down on the 3 points over this way. And they had absolutely no issues. They said they would be willing to come to the meeting if I wanted them to. They had no issues whatsoever with it being located here. And we are staying within the code on this property line, which is kind of abutting to their property, so we're staying off of that property line. You know, our other neighbors to the south over here, the Sundells are here. You know, they're expressing concerns about consistency, but with all due respect, like, you know, we went through this a year ago. You guys are all here. Their ask on their variance was completely different. And the whole point of a variance is to look at the uniqueness of each situation and each lot. And our lot is uniquely different than their lot. So I just, with all due respect, I just don't think we're talking apples to apples when they're trying to compare to a variance that they applied for a year ago. And I do believe that the process is really consistent. We've gone through, as you guys know, a ton of detail with the staff and with the Planning Commission. And it's been a consistent process. And the last thing I guess I would say is just that, you know, again, where I'm proposing to put this impacts nobody. Like, it's not encroaching on anybody. It's not a view thing. It's nothing. It doesn't impact anybody. So people that walk into our yard are like, why wouldn't you put it right there? So it just makes all practical sense to me. It does not make any practical sense to tear down trees and dig out a berm.
So just to, again, another clarification. We
Yes.
can put up maybe the other thing in a minute, but you're going this way?
Yeah, if we put up
And
the
that way?
survey, it might help a little more.
Do you have the survey on there? What page is it on?
Or it was in your presentation too, I think.
It was, the problem is it's.
Oh, I got you.
two
I got you.
So it's easier to.
2095.
2095.
There you go, right
So, I use a pointer, I don't know how easy it is to see that. There we go. So, the pictures that you were seeing before were looking at the front of our
Right.
existing shed right here. It was like I was standing here taking the picture looking at this. So over here is a big berm where this flat ground, this berm goes up another 5 feet. There's a fence up here that goes up another 6 feet. So what we're proposing is the 5.7 feet to the property line. There's another 7.5 feet to this fence. So we're 13 feet off of that fence, plus another 4 feet to the sidewalk. So we're, 17 feet from the sidewalk. So the existing shed sits right here.
So you're proposing going how much farther to the north?
So the existing, this shed is 10 feet right here.
And
And we're gonna slide it like a half a foot or a foot over here. I'm trying to come as far as I can here without tearing down trees and cutting further into the berm. So the berm over here is only a foot or two high, so we're really disrupting the land the least amount we can. Or again, over here, it's 3 feet high and digging all the way to 10 feet. Like here, that berm is 10 feet tall. Where it comes down back here, it's only 2 feet tall. So it's a much, and then this is all the flat. So the current shed that sits there was there when we bought the property 15 years ago. It's just getting a little old too, so we wanted to replace it and make it bigger. So the existing shed is a 10 by 10 right here. And we're trying to build a 22 by 20 shed.
Okay. And you're staying on the west side, you're staying in that same line there?
This one's at 4 feet. We're actually gonna move it another foot this way.
Okay.
So we're gonna be 5 feet off the rear property line.
Okay.
So the requirement, I think they said is 4 or 5, but regardless, we're gonna be 5.
Okay.
So we're not asking for a variance on this back property line.
All right, so you're asking, basically it's the north side,
Correct,
is that you're asking? Okay.
correct.
All right, does council have any other
And-
questions?
No,
Okay.
I mean, I can see the practical difficulties on corner lot. He's got, like I read all the minutes and it's like I had the same difficulty. It's you have 2 front yards. And it's not blocking anybody's road visibility or
View.
view from your house. No one is gonna see it. But I don't think I have any questions.
Okay.
And I think I said this, but it is gonna sit, it would sit so low down here that, over here is the seahorse, garages, hedges, then garages going along this way, and then the seahorse sits way back over here.
Right.
So it's not a visibility thing. Again, I think this is the least impactful position for it, but
Okay. Okay, well, thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate it. And this is not an open meeting per se, but I know if someone else wants to come up and say something real fast. Can you give us your name and address?
Yellow. Yellow. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Sundell, and I reside at 1717 Jones Lane in Mound. We're here tonight due to a letter received from the city notifying us that a variance request for the construction of an accessory structure next door at 1703 Jones Lane, the Kohler's property. As you may recall, my wife and I spent several months last summer requesting a variance permit, followed by an expansion permit, and we ended up settling for a standard building permit for the remodel of our primary residence. We were directed to redesign 3 different times by staff, by council, by planning commission, because they said there were other options you felt we should look at which involved more time and money. We're a little beyond surprised to see the Kohlers pursuing yet another variance request for their property, given the veracity of their issue with us pursuing a variance for our home remodel project. In 2020, Kohlers also requested and were granted a variance to add a fence within the 3 Points Boulevard, 30-foot front yard setback area. As the Kohlers have stated before, when challenging both our variance and expansion permit, they are fully aware of their property and their setbacks, as they understood these all before they purchased the property in 2009. Both of our requests for our initial variance and expansion permit were denied on the following basis. The city felt we had other options and redesign or costs for this process should not be an influence. At the Planning Commission meeting last week, a few of the commission members were having difficulty understanding what a corner lot means regarding setbacks. The corner lot means the city code recognizes two sides of the corner lot properties as front yards, with the city code stating a 30-foot setback to buildings. Not to be confused, Kohlers have a corner lot, with two sides of the property having a 30-foot minimum setback to buildings. And the side where they're proposing this accessory structure is one of those sides. It seems reasonable to us to request that the Kohlers look at different locations or options for this accessory structure. In our case, the council mentioned that there were other construction design options to be considered, which would alleviate the need for the Planning Commission and/or City Council to issue a variance or an expansion permit. Every option brought up by our neighbors, the Kohlers, the Planning Commission, and the City Council were far less reasonable in the scope of work needing to be done, as well as the costs that became prohibitive to us as homeowners. Cost is not a consideration for practical difficulty. As stated in City Code, Section 129-2, Paragraph 3, economic considerations do not constitute a practical difficulty. Architectural limitations imposed by our existing home, remodel costs due to those limitations, on-site topography such as removal of existing landscape, trees, and grading, an existing garage that could not accommodate our truck. All these were not practical difficulties upon your review. The Kohlers have stated that they don't want to remove other trees or do additional grading to accommodate a different building site, as it will cost more money. A very specific example of having more options is this city council encouraged us to remove two 85-foot maple trees and do additional grading to accommodate the option of looking at different sites. You asked us to expand on the south side of our property, do additional grading and take out two 85-foot trees as an option. You asked us to pursue that. The Kohlers have other options for this accessory structure location. Can I see Exhibit 1, please? Here's their existing house right here. Here's their existing shed right here. Here's their proposed shed moving 12 feet closer to 3 Points Boulevard in the setback area. Why couldn't they look at shifting their shed to the south where they would not need a variance? Why couldn't they look at expanding on their existing shed, making that larger? Why couldn't they just look at putting in an addition to the backside of their garage if they're looking for additional storage needs? To issue a variance or an expansion permit is to extend special privilege. This is a direct feedback from both the Planning Commission and the City Council. The concern was that you did not want to set a precedence. Specifically, the precedence of extending special privilege where there are other options. It was further stated, where does it end if we continue to do so? It seems reasonable to ask this council for the Kohlers to review other building sites or footprints where they would not need a variance, perhaps a simple building permit. The size of their building is surely not the minimum which is needed when requesting a variance. Variance and expansion permits are to be considered only where the homeowner is asking for the minimum, where the scope of the project is concerned, not the maximum. This accessory structure plan surely isn't the minimum. An accessory structure can be built with a slope and landscaping in the backyard. as we've done. So can I see Exhibit 2, please? This is our property just to the south of the Kohlers. Kohlers property is right here on the north. We have the same berm, actually bigger than in their backyard. And we've elected to stay compliant with our accessory structure and build it according to code. We've had to cut into the berm, we've had to remove a couple trees, but we're compliant. We didn't ask for a variance, so it's doable. There's options. We're here tonight to confirm that this city council remain consistent in their messaging to not only our neighborhood, but our community, and what they can expect when they approach you as a sitting elected committee in matters that pertain to interpretation of our city's variance code. We encourage continued property improvements in our community. That said, our recent time and experience with you as a council is such that we clearly see this project accomplished by a building permit. This would mirror the same process, or close to the same process, we have followed with respect to the construction of an accessory structure in our backyard. We're confident that if the Kohlers are held to the same standards as our recently completed remodel, the variance expansion permit being requested would not rise to the rigor required by the City Council for a variance and expansion permit to be granted. There's a high level of subjectiveness to this process of pursuing a variance, and navigating it isn't easy. The optics to this are very visible in our community, and consistency is key to level setting the bar so that we as residents can appropriately better be guided in what to expect on these matters. In closing, I ask myself, why are we here tonight? The Kohlers have plenty of room to the south of their proposed accessory structure location. They could change the dimensions of their plan, could easily do an addition to the back of their garage to create additional storage room. They have options. Furthermore, their plan surely is not the minimum. A variance states that it's to be used as a minimum plan. A variance is for those that don't have options. Kohlers have options. They could simply relocate the building location and use a building permit. Thank you for your time and considerations.
Thank you. Does council have any questions for him real fast?
Well, I'd like to say, Mr. Sundell, I can appreciate your frustration, and you sound really frustrated. And as we said at the planning meeting, the Planning Commission does make every effort to try to be consistent. I just, going through the accessory structure ask versus, the redoing of your entire home, they're just not comparable. And just let me finish. I'm starting to feel like now I've heard you twice, and I'm feeling like you're using this as a punishment because you didn't get your variance. And I look at what they're trying to do. It feels like the least impact for anybody. And yet you want them, this is what it sounds like to me. I'm not suggesting that you're trying to punish them, but it's starting to sound like that. That because you didn't get your variance, you're going to put them through every measure to make it difficult, even though where they would move it makes no sense.
My statement is that there's other options than requiring a variance. There are other options. They're asking for a variance to encroach closer to 3 Points Boulevard, which is a collector roadway, correct me?
We have not looked up what it was. It is a visitor roadway, yes.
It's not a standard neighborhood roadway. It's a collector roadway that feeds all of 3 Points Boulevard. So they're asking for a variance to encroach into that setback where there's other options. Simply, there's other options.
But the other options, they don't make sense.
Why wouldn't they make sense?
Well, first of all, the building that they're trying, the accessory, it won't even be barely seen by 3 Points. And they move, apparently you don't care if it keeps encroaching on your view.
Views aren't an ordinance. You can encroach on
No,
people's
I
views.
understand that, but I'm saying, as a neighbor, I would think you would go, gee, this is gonna be great having it over there because it really doesn't impact me at all. It's just the variance ask is what it sounds like it's impacting you.
I really am concerned about the variance request when it's not necessary. They've already been granted a variance for something that was a fence issue. Again, they stated during our process last summer, they clearly understood their lot. They clearly understood their setbacks. They clearly understood their limitations, but yet they're asking for a variance now. That is, I'm feeling, setting a precedence if you were to grant this variance.
Okay, does council have any other questions for him?
I don't think so. I mean, is it, if it goes where they're proposing, is it affecting like the use or enjoyment of your property for you?
It wouldn't affect my property. My concern is the future expansion and public infrastructure improvement along 3 Points Boulevard. What happens if they have to improve the sanitary sewer, deep sanitary sewer, and they get into excavations that are deep, and that it impacts their building? The city might be liable for additional sheeting required to do improvements on the roadway. There's a setback for a reason, you guys, and if you're granting this variance, I think it's unwarranted. I think they have options within the building code to not request a variance for a shed. I'm involved in city engineering, civil engineering for 36 years now. I've seen projects like this go through. I've seen when they have to come back later and do deep sanitary sewer reconstructs, and they have to shore and sheet these properties. It's additional expenses to the taxpayers.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else have, we've heard from you. Anybody else, real fast? Okay, Rita, can you come back up?
Certainly.
All right,
Hello.
can you just pull back up the one, so we're asking for, was it 15 feet?
I think it's 14.3 off the top of my head without having it in front of me.
That's what it says.
5.7 feet from the north property line.
5.7.
5.7 feet from the north property line. So
Okay.
the variance,
The
you asked me
is
what the variance
technically-
was, that's the bigger number, but the actual distance, which is that's how my brain thinks, is like, how close is this gonna be? Just over 6 feet, or just under 6 feet to the property line, which is still from 3 Points a ways.
Right,
Right.
so technically, because of the corner lot, you're saying it's really a 5-foot problem,
It's-
not a 15-foot problem.
That's supposed to be 20 feet back.
Yeah,
It's only going to be 5.7 feet back from the property line.
okay.
Just again, this is,
It's
just to
only
make sure,
gonna be-
property line, fence, sidewalk, 3 Points.
And can you
Center line is 3
mention
points.
how much space is between the sidewalk that goes to the fence?
Between
Yeah.
these 2 points, that measurement is not on there. If we look at this, that this is 5.7 feet, you can easily see that
So
it's going to
10,
be,
12.
yes.
So it's another 7.5 to the fence, and then another 4 feet to the sidewalk.
But the sidewalk, the edge of the sidewalk isn't the property line, is it?
This is the property line right here.
Okay.
You can see
Yeah,
that,
see, I
right?
think we have to be consistent. I do agree with the neighbor in the sense that we are so inconsistent in this city.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're always giving variances to people. We're allowing people to always push up against those property lines. And, you know, I'll never forget one of the first cases I remember hearing in council was someone pushed up against the property line. They stayed within the property setback, but then their eaves extended over because they changed the roof pitch. And, you know, and he talked a little bit about the height of the building, that supposedly you wouldn't see it?
Because,
From-
yeah,
I needed to understand that. Was he talking about the bottom
Maybe
of the
we
roof, or
should
was he
connect
talking
in
the
that
pitch,
picture, yeah.
top pitch of the roof that you wouldn't see?
When you go on, when you're on the sidewalk on 3 Points,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a white fence, their
Yeah.
yard goes like that, and so you would maybe see the eave of the,
You'd see the top of the
Top,
roof,
maybe.
yeah, maybe.
probably not.
Give me 1 second as it connects itself in. So, the, note that the fence is not here.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go back just to orient everybody. So this is the corner, Jones, we're on 3 Points. So this is
That's
the
the side.
sidewalk. There is no fence here, so that's one thing that's misleading.
Okay.
I acknowledge there's no fence, but I can't make a fence
In this,
in this picture.
but there actually is a fence there,
Right.
yes.
Just this picture, whenever they took it, it was a
Yes.
ways ago. But it, the only thing nice for us is, oh, I like this one. Just 1 second. I'm gonna go back. 1 click. Maybe 2 clicks. There's actually, this is the trampoline, and there's actually the shed back here. You get it just right. You can actually kind of see it through the trees. So that's what they're talking about, is that the topography is such that we're higher.
But it would still come,
And there's still a 6-foot fence on top of this. Right now, there's a 6-foot fence. So you'd have to be able to look over the top of the fence and down the hill to see it. So you still are gonna see the top of the roof of the shed, but it's down. It's not at grade when you're on 3
Right.
Points or you're on the sidewalk, and there's still the separation between the sidewalk and the fence, and then the fence and the property line, and then the property line and the shed. So there's kind of multiple movements away.
so my problem with this whole thing is, we're talking 15 feet,
14.3.
14 some feet. My wife wants a new shed too. I mean, I could go put up a shed, you know, as long as I stay within the, you know, if we're talking a foot or two, I don't have a problem with it. 14 is, I mean, you could put it a different way, you could do a smaller shed, you could do, I don't know, I gotta say, that's a lot. Whether anybody sees it or not, again, like you said, staying consistent. When we're talking about a 1 foot, remember that rooftop thing that we're talking about, and it was like 1 foot, like who cares? It's not a big deal. We're talking 15 feet, that's very, we don't do these that are 15 feet off. I mean, since I've been here.
Yeah.
Maybe before I was here when you had that other issue, but.
And is there room to shift it?
If you,
Shift the other direction, shift, what is
if
that,
you
west?
shift it this direction, then you're taking out the trees and you're cutting farther into the hillside. So it's
But you could also bring it towards the house, right? How far can you bring it to the house?
you could bring it towards the house some,
How far does it have to be away?
more than, well, let's remember though, shifting it this direction doesn't get us to the variance, right? 'Cause
No,
the var-
I know, but if you,
But if you
even if
shifted
you
it-
make a smaller shed and move it
Yes.
this way and turn it this way,
Yeah, I mean, you could take up their rear yard with a shed.
you could do, but you could
Yes.
go along this way instead of that way,
You could go this way?
along to the east.
You can't, it would have to go this direction.
Yeah,
It would have to be smack in the middle of their backyard. If you were gonna try to, I'm not, and that's not a, that's
Right.
just a statement of fact, that's
Yeah.
not a statement of my opinion, that's just, in order to meet the setback, you've gotta come down, and then you have to shift it. This is 20 feet back.
to be that big of a shed.
Almost along the
Yes,
same elevation.
so it's almost right in here.
I mean,
So, I mean, I'm struggling a little bit because I don't have it's a subjective decision, and so
Yeah.
I don't have an opinion. I do want to note that the reason, in planning reasons why we do this, is particularly to protect the view along the street of all of these houses, right? That's the reason for this corner yard setback, is that we don't want to have houses whose front yards are here and here and here and here and here and here and here, to end up with what is basically a shed in their front yard.
Right.
But this street is different because of the fact that we have the apartments here. This is a very big lot that's set back differently. So again, I'm not advocating, but that is something the planning commission felt that we should come back separately and have a conversation about, is, does this setback even make sense, given if it's a busy street? those types of things. So again, I struggle even to say that because I'm not trying to advocate one way or the other. It's more of a statement of, the reason we do this is to protect the front yards of neighboring properties. What makes this one different is there are really no front yards of neighboring properties around this one.
So there is no economic considerations for difficulties.
So that's not technically correct. It says economic considerations alone do not justify.
Alone.
Alone.
Okay.
So that is one word that got dropped off when it was stated, and I did verify that that word is in there.
Okay, and then trees go with that, I guess. They have other options, right? You could do a different shed, smaller shed, put it on the other side of the yard. I mean,
Correct.
just because the shed was there doesn't have to be there again, right?
Correct.
And do we know, are there any other properties on 3 Points that have also, are off from this variance, so they are closer to the street, their structures, or is everyone else's setback, for consistency
I'm gonna just
on a street?
I mean, I drive by there all the time, but
Yeah,
I
it's,
try to think into my right as I'm driving.
It's
too.
the most out of the way that it can be.
Right.
yeah,
It's not blocking anybody's view.
it's
So-
not blocking anyone's view, but
I
in
would
the
say,
alignment.
I mean,
If the street
while she's looking
changed,
this up, I just give my
Oh, actually,
opinion.
this is a better
Yeah.
one, because you can see the lot lines.
I mean, I'm pretty comfortable with a unanimous planning commission recommendation and a staff approval recommendation.
Yeah,
I don't make a habit of going against those, but you can't compare the two properties. They're not the same. One's a corner lot, one's not. Some projects affects people's view, some don't. They're not
oh,
the same.
no, I wasn't talking about I was talking about properties.
Oh, I
who
know,
had-
yeah,
who were
like street
on-
view too, yep,
On
yep.
3 Points.
Yeah, it's behind a
So
fence.
if you ever had to widen the street, then this shed would create,
Oh, man, if they had to widen the street, there'd be a,
whole.
yeah, it would be.
Is there utility lines and stuff under there? Or?
yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Under
Rather
the,
not.
I don't,
I mean, I know there's under.
I can see there's the
road.
the overhead power lines, but I know, I can't answer that
I
because
remember when that was all
I always
vacant
trust the
land.
city engineer if they have an issue to let me know that there's a
Yeah.
potential problem.
I don't know, I mean, we have a really,
So I don't know if this is this is just the property lines, so this is the house again for orientation. Across the street are the apartments. This is what I was talking about, where this property is so different in terms
Yeah.
of how it's structured, and then these. So, yes, there are some houses that face the front. This one's kind of at an angle. These are facing towards the front, so, but it's hard, to me, it's hard to, I can't, however you interpret it, because they're all kind of different. There's not like a consistent one that I can point to that said yes.
Well, I too hate to go against the planning commission when they unanimously approve something, but I'm so tired of us making variances on everything. So much so that, we make it, I have this thing about all the lake properties that have variances so that they can't get their stuff in their backyard, which is the lakeside, so it sits on the street side because they can't get anything in between the houses because they've all squeezed up against the property lines. So I think we make too many exceptions for it, but.
so I'll speak against that. I mean, I don't, because, so a variance is there by like nature of the word, just to be
Yeah.
a variance when there's a certain situation that arises. I mean, I can have, one example, I have, a couple of houses down, we have neighbors where it's like they were gonna put a shed that was gonna be like, if you opened your blinds, you would just see their shed. And this is not affecting
Right.
anybody's view. I mean, it kind of sounds like it should really be a non-issue here.
Well, I agree with that, because there's no one living across the street
Yeah.
looking at it.
Yeah.
And I've walked the street, and I have to admit that being a short person, everything's above me, so.
Yeah, you won't see it.
I don't see anything
You won't see it.
unless I'm across the
I
street
won't
looking
see it.
from afar,
I just still have a problem with that big of a variance for a shed that, do you really need to do it?
So, I mean, yeah, but if we have unanimous approval from planning commission and
I have a hard
staff,
time with that.
I know they're thorough.
I know, I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still have a hard time with it personally, so. Anyway, Councilmember McEnany?
I see, other than reducing the size of the accessory shelter, the way they've laid it out is the least impactful to anybody. So I'm like the planning commission, I'm going to go ahead and say I agree with the accessory shelter,
Okay. All right.
the placement of it.
Any other questions, or do you guys want to take a vote?
I'm fine.
Call comes down to you.
It's not negatively impacting everyone, so I'm ready to take a vote.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Someone wants to make a motion?
I don't even know if I'm on the right page. I read the wrong page last week. It's on 2077, right?
2077?
Yeah. I would like to make a resolution approving variance for accessory structure at 1703 Jones Lane.
Okay, got a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Those opposed? Aye. What did you do?
I'm abstaining.
Okay, so it
just-
passes then?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so that passes. So congrats, guys. You can clap. All right, off to the next item.
It's planning commission.
Okay, so now we're on number 8. We got council comments and reports from council members. Councilmember Pugh?
Well, I spent my weekend walking around in my neighborhood and learning about what people are interested in. It's kind of interesting. People didn't immediately say water, so that was kind of new.
That's good.
But I did note the traffic on Tacowood, which we talked about earlier, being a need. And also was brought up, and I shared with staff, was there's a national company renting houses in our community, and it's a virtual thing. And this one neighbor got very concerned because people were coming up, peering into the house that they can't get into because the company is some national company, and they're really concerned that it might be sort of a scam on rental. And I think they've had the police look at the property a couple of times, and staff is going to check into who this company is.
Where is that property?
This is on Noble. It's a house
Okay.
on Noble that, it's up for rent. It's maintained very nicely. It looks nice on the outside and everything. So it's not like it's been unkept. But it's been drawing a lot of activity of people coming by and wanting to peer in the windows. And the neighbors next door sort of like, don't really want all this extra activity going on in their properties. But, we do have a lot of out-of-city investors in properties in our community. And I know that staff has too many other things to deal with, but sometimes we do need to take a stop and look at some of these situations and stuff like that. So that was my week, kind of walking the streets,
All right.
talking to folks.
Councilmember McEnany?
I would like to bring up, I've seen an opportunity, this has been going on for about 3 months, but we're always so long. And the opportunity is the empty flagpole all over Mound. I'd like to propose, and I have done a little layout, to kind of elevate the community spirit or what have you, is doing a Mound flag and putting it on the flagpole. And I designed a flag just briefly, just so I could see what it would look like. And I'll hand it to you guys. Oh, I didn't. I've talked to Jesse about it, I've talked to Ryan about it, and they would need 3 flags per year, and they change them out 3 times a year. I
So
thought
they're all
Ryan might-
empty?
Huh?
No,
They're all empty right now?
just this one is.
Oh, okay.
No, all 3 flagpoles are empty.
Okay.
They
So-
are?
Yeah. Well, not empty, but the 3rd flagpole.
The third one
They
is,
used to have the Minnesota flag on it.
yeah.
Is empty. And I'm not here to engage in a debate controversy over the flag, I'm seeing this as an opportunity to kind of showcase Mound.
Oh, okay, sorry. This is not.
This is just-
This is not in front of City Hall. This is.
No, this is the park.
Veterans Park.
Veterans.
Okay,
Palmia flag.
yeah, so okay, that's there. That one's empty. We have one empty one, and we have the fire and the United States flag.
Fire department up here, you mean?
This one.
There's 3 locations that have 3
Okay, that's what you meant by,
flagpoles,
okay, yes.
And so there's 3 locations that are empty of flag. And there is an expense. I'm just going to go through this with everybody.
Okay.
Ryan said that they change out 3 flags 3 times a year, and they get 4 by 6. So, there's a price break at quantity. So for 18 two-sided flags, with the price break, it would be $32.40 for 2 years of changing flags.
3,240?
Yes, and if we did just one-sided, which I wouldn't recommend because you're going to be coming straight
Right.
into Mound, right where the new intersection is, there's no price break. It's $90 a flag, so it'd be $16.20. But the POW flag is two-sided. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring it up for consideration. I think it would be kind of a cool thing to do for our town, to kind of elevate our pride.
So it would add the Mound flag to those spots?
Yes.
Pretty much, and then they'd all
That's
have
what
these.
I'm proposing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like it. So, you all like that or no?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
So is like the 3240, is it like, you said for 2 years, like
It'd be-
they wear out after?
Yeah, you have probably a
They're
flag. You
leather.
have to change them up.
Yeah.
I have a flag on my dock and they get ripped.
Yep.
Yeah, they get
Yeah.
ripped,
They
and
get
some
mine,
worn
mine
pretty
blew
quick.
off in the storm yesterday. My One Nation under God.
Great.
What do you think of that? So anyway, they get shredded. So
Yeah.
the city of Mound changes our 3 flags out generally 3 times a year to keep them looking nice.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Part of it is we're
Right.
spending money on flags anyway. This
Yeah.
is just
Yes,
Right.
talking about the,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't have a
Okay.
problem with it.
well, if everybody likes this, then someone make a motion to staff.
I should mention that I've kind of designed a couple flags other than just white. I just kind of did the blue logo color with kind of some waves under it, if you want to look a
Yeah, I
little
was gonna
more
say, like, for
closer.
anybody listening or that was gonna listen or watch later, it's the logo is the same, it's just the
Yeah.
addition of like the waves under it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I like that staying how it is and then.
Basically this with.
I think it's cool.
With some, and the blue will stand out a little
Yeah.
better than the white flag.
Yeah,
So that's my ruminating for the last 3 months.
All right, well, do you want to make a
Something
motion
else too.
I'd like to make a motion
to direct staff?
to direct, what am I doing?
Staff.
Oh, to direct staff to allow us to use this flag on the 3 empty flagpoles, and we will be submitting it for the cost of, without tax, $32.40.
Okay. Does that work for me? Okay, got a motion, can I get a second?
second?
Okay, 2 seconds. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that passes. Good
Mr.
job.
Mayor,
Thank you.
I have
That'll
one
look
more
I think it'll
thing.
look really nice.
Do you have something? Okay.
No, I was just saying it'll look cool.
Okay.
Okay, I did have one other thing, from my walking around and talking to people, but it's more about the storm last night, as my son, who was half asleep when I talked to him and asked if they had any trouble in the neighborhood, he calmly said, "Oh, well, the wires across the street were on fire, and the fire chief was there and he watched it, and it went out." And that and then when I talked to my niece this morning, she said, "Well, it happened a couple of places in Mound." So I think it's important that we contact Excel and tell them that, they need to do maintenance in our city, because we shouldn't have live wires catching on fire with trees next to them.
Well,
Yeah.
one of the main outages was right, across the street from Catherine Poshy, which is right
Yeah.
up the road.
Mm-hmm.
And I only got internet probably shortly before I came to the meeting.
Yeah, I know,
We got
didn't
power
lose ours.
at 1:30 this morning. I don't know if it affected
same,
you down
yeah.
there,
Yeah.
but,
But these were actual fires.
oh yeah, this was bad.
That was,
Yep.
yeah.
This one was on fire too.
And, we're a heavily forested city, so, our
Yeah.
trees start catching on fire.
Well, and this, I don't know about the limb down there, but the one up here on Highland, the entire wires were wrapped with tree,
Right.
and it's still there. A lot of people are still out of power, maybe till tomorrow morning, Poshies and the people right there. But the wires are literally wrapped with branches, so clearly they haven't been cleaning up the trees everywhere.
Right.
So
Yeah, it was
on the
rough.
county roads, that's their responsibility, right? And then on the city roads, that's ours?
Yes, and I was gonna touch on this at the end too, but I mean, our side of things, the guys were out there since yesterday cleaning, and so that will be continuing throughout the week
Right.
till it's clean. But along the actual power lines and things, that is the Excel's territory. So I was just, we got I was passed along to me this afternoon that Excel's working on this, you know, it says that 150,000 affected customers in the state, or in just the Twin City metro area. Half were expected to get their power back today, and the rest by Thursday afternoon, so.
Yeah.
It's tough to probably get on them any more than they already are, but,
Well, I'm saying when this calms down,
yeah.
do we need to have them, if there's any major areas where, I mean, I'll drive down the main Bartlett there, and it's just like it's just right over them. And it's like, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, we can, but that's,
Well, maybe have Ryan or something just drive around and see if there's any major problem areas. I mean, you're gonna have big trees anyway that are gonna come
Yeah.
over. But if there's trees that are growing through the lines, we should be,
Well, you know, I'm going to bring this up because I've been calling, and the trees are on city property,
okay.
but I always take care of them because my property literally butts up to it. And I called NSP or Excel probably for 3 years I've been calling them. And they never come out, you know, to Splunday or however you enunciate that company that actually does the tree cutting for Excel.
Yeah, yeah.
Esplund.
Is that what it is? So I was up working one day and I happened to see Excel at my neighbor's. So I ran across the street and I said, hi, I've been trying to get, you know, Excel out here to mark the trees and, you know, they're literally growing into the lines.
Right.
Yeah.
Really bad. So he put a note through. This is why it pays to sometimes go bug people that aren't necessarily looking to be bugged. I'm like, oh my God, I'll bring you banana bread, thank you. He put my name in. Literally, by the time I got back up to my office, I had
A call.
Excel say, okay, you're on the calendar. Now, it did take another 2.5 months for the tree trimmers to come.
Sure.
But they were here a couple weeks ago. And then the city, I was expecting to pay my tree guys to clean it up, and the city cleaned it up.
Well, my guys, you
So I
know,
was so thankful. I went out and said, oh my God, you guys, thank you, because my tree guys took the rest of the trees down. You know, and so that was great. I appreciated that. But I've watched them go down our street over the years and not even look twice at, literally,
At the
the
stuff,
trees are
yeah.
hanging on the
Yeah,
wires.
that's, yeah.
So I don't know if I'm sure they try to be as efficient as they can, you know, with every single neighborhood
not
in
really.
Minnesota.
I mean, I
But like you
called,
said, to both of
Yeah.
your points, we probably have to complain, and
yeah.
Yeah.
here they come.
I called
Yeah.
about trees in my yard that are growing, you know, the wires are right through the middle of them. They came out, looked at them, and then sent me a letter saying they're not a priority. They could have cut them down while they were out looking at them, you know? Or
Right.
they could have trimmed them. So, you know, I think we just really need to stay on it. But we also need to understand, the city will trim stuff along the street line, right?
On the city streets.
On the cities, on city streets, and then the county does the county. But when it comes to the trees that are surrounding the wires, that's Excel, right?
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And they only clear them just to
Yeah.
give the tree trimmers so they
Right.
don't kill themselves. You know, they don't take the trees down,
No, I know they don't.
but they clear it.
Okay. Do you have any other items?
No.
Okay. Castellano?
I don't have anything except, thank you, Mr. Landsman, for the memorandum for this building.
Yeah.
I suppose we probably should do this at a workshop
So,
and,
yeah, that's gonna be on the list. I'll talk about that in a second.
oh, okay, I was gonna say, call for that, but I don't have anything particular for me.
Okay, cool. So since he said that, yeah, let's, if you guys are okay, 5 o'clock next council meeting?
Okay, I was just gonna add, it doesn't seem like terribly urgent, if there's anything else we need to
No,
wait
there's
for.
another thing I wanna talk about too.
Okay.
So if you guys are good with that,
At the next meeting?
yeah, we'll do 5
So-
in the conference room.
So that would be what date?
To talk about the sale of
This.
this.
Yep. And then also, I met with, as well as Jesse, we met with the mayor and city manager of Mintrista about police coverage. And so I want to give an update on that as well at the workshop.
So are you talking about the 11th?
I think so. Is the 11th,
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, that's Wednesday.
it's a,
Tuesday the 10th.
yeah, the 10th at 5, right before our 6 o'clock normal meeting. So put that in there. So we had a meeting right before this, so I want to go through that and kind of next steps about that, because we need to follow up on that workshop as well. And then Weekend has an open house Thursday, October 10th, from 4 to 6. Thursday, October 10th at 4 to 6, Weekend. The crossing and the new road should be open in the next week or so, right? Any updates there?
No, I don't know that yesterday set them back at all, but the county has said it's this week or by Labor Day. I think they were being generous to them, for themselves too,
Good.
so hopefully soon.
I keep coming down the main road on the way home, and then I turn at about City Hall, because I'm like, nope, still closed,
Yeah.
still closed. So, I got a tour of Artesa
And you didn't call me.
on Monday. You know what? Here's the deal. He did say that he promised you a tour, so you should
Yeah.
call him.
I'm
You
the
have his
one who
number?
asked for a tour 3 months ago.
You got his
And-
number?
And, yeah, I think, well,
Call-
no, I
call
don't.
him.
Yeah.
So they are doing, I think it's Friday night, a social hour for all the new residents. So I think it was 2 to 4 moved in on Monday. It was kind of fun to meet them.
I
and
saw
see them.
someone sitting on the balcony today.
There you go.
Yeah, I kind of walked around their backyard the other day when I
They
was
did
in
a
town.
beautiful job
Oh, it's-
landscaping.
Beautiful property. And so anyway, got a whole tour of, gosh, probably 6 to 8 units, I think he walked. He's so excited about it. He just
Oh,
boom, boom, boom,
yeah.
boom, walks us through it. And 22 this week are moving in. So we're gonna have 22 new residents in Mound by the end of the week, which is pretty cool. So anyway, I met two of the couples. But yeah, I think there's something about a happy hour with the new residents that he kind of loosely invited me to, so you might want to call him.
Okay.
And that's not, I don't think the public's supposed to go to that, but they are doing a ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
In, I think I said that last meeting.
September?
I think it's
Is it?
October maybe.
October.
And then hopefully they'll be full by then, but, and then, well, 2 more things. I've been meeting with pretty much anybody that is running for anything. It seems like they're all reaching out, probably to you guys too, but, so I've met with, well, 1 out of the 2 House candidates. The other one just reached out to me today. Both Senate candidates. That's about it. So, whoever we get, I want to make sure that they,
Well,
have our.
Stewart's a civil engineer, so
Yeah.
she loves to talk about water plants.
Well, that's what we talked about. And then last thing, do you have my picture? So on Saturday, woke up and actually, he's upstairs doing our video here.
Oh, he did the thing?
Yep.
Oh, great.
So I took him out on our boat, and this is him videotaping, I don't know, you call it videotaping, filming, maybe? As you can see, Artesa and coming into the channel. And then there's another one, but it's just the same thing, but it's a different picture. But anyway, so we went a lot of Harrison's Bay, because that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
We did did some some stuff there. He brought down a guy from Duluth with a drone.
Okay.
So he was flying over and.
What day were you doing that?
Did you see any? It was
I don't
Saturday
know.
morning.
Oh, no, okay, I was gonna say, I was out there the other day, was on the boat, and I was like, it's a drone.
Oh, yeah. He didn't want to go on the boat. The drone guy didn't want to go on the boat, probably because the drone's probably really expensive in
Yeah.
case something happened. But he was flying it all over the water.
Cool.
So. And then they took, I mean, they were down at Surfside. He said they spent till about 3 o'clock, so 9 to 3-ish, doing that. So they said they got plenty of video. So, and then Maggie's going to work on, I guess, the next process of editing and
Yeah,
getting an
the
awesome
guy
video.
from Explore Minnesota has been sending me emails, and we need to sit down and talk and look at, they have surveys, and it sounds like what you do is you fill out their survey, then they type it and put it on their Explore Minnesota website, so it's like free marketing, almost, you know, we get on Explore Minnesota. Maggie and I talked a little bit this week when I was in the office.
And I did send that to Jesse too.
Yeah.
So you did.
I did send it to you,
So
okay.
you said you sent it to my email. You sent it to my old
Oh,
email.
oh, really?
That I never
Oh.
check, like once a year.
Okay.
That was when I was running.
Oh.
So I don't even use that one, but send it to my new one next time.
Okay, good.
But anyway, I did forward it to Jesse, so he can.
Okay, good.
That's all I got. Do you have anything else?
No, I just wanted to recognize Ryan and the Public Works Department they were out there yesterday at the end of the day, setting up generators for our lift stations, and we're in all last night, and then again this morning, and then I'm sure if you were in town, you saw them today, so.
So we have to manually put up generators for our lift stations? They don't have backups?
3 of them, 4 of them.
Because they went down and.
The ones that are left that don't have them installed.
Oh, okay.
So we're almost done getting
The new
generators
ones
out.
all have that, okay.
Mhm. But, when they don't, it's a problem, so.
Yeah. Right.
Especially when we're losing power, so it is, no small task.
Cool.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank them for us.
Oh, yeah, they're doing a great job.
They were out all day up and down the street picking up sticks and all the way. So I'm sure they're beat. The
Oh, yeah.
summer version of winter snow plowing.
Right.
Yeah.
All
And you know,
right.
the siren wasn't very loud, though. I was gonna mention
No,
that.
I don't think it was
It was
either.
very soft. That's why I called my son, because they're on the west end, and I said, can you hear the siren? And he said no, and he was just walking in his house. So we might want to check the volume on the horns.
I agree. I don't think it was all that
It
loud.
wasn't super loud.
No.
Right at dinner time.
Mm-hmm.
We had dinner in the basement. All right, any other last things? Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So-
Are we
Oh.
still planning to do 6511?
Oh, that was done at the very beginning.
I was, that already happened.
That was
You're-
part of the
oh, that's
consent.
up-
that was
sorry,
part of the
that's
consent
approved.
agenda.
Very good, thank you.
Thanks for coming out to the meeting, though.
Oh, man, well, it was
I
approved.
know a lot
It
about.
was actually interesting.
I didn't see you back there.
Well, congrats on your approval.
Take care, thanks for staying.
Throw away the fan.
Well, you never know. Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Okay, and a second?
Second?
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we're adjourned.